So what if there was a single, universal way to measure and control the harmony of, well, almost any system you can think of? Today, we're diving into a series of incredibly ambitious patent applications for a technology that claims to do just that. It is a really bold idea, so let's unpack what this is all about.
To get us started, just think about this question for a second. On the surface, these things seem totally unrelated, right? One is biological, one's digital, and one is this incredibly complex piece of machinery. But according to these patent filings, they all share a fundamental, measurable property that can actually be controlled.
The core problem this whole invention is trying to solve is that our world, in so many ways, is fundamentally out of sync.
Think about it. Pretty much all the systems we rely on, from the power grid to our own bodies, are managed by little controllers that only focus on their one small piece of the puzzle. A thermostat manages temperature, a server manages its own workload, but they almost never have awareness of the bigger picture. This creates all this inefficiency and instability. It's like a hidden friction that's just dragging everything down.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the proposed solution? Well, the patent filings introduce this idea of a single, universal metric that can measure the harmony, or you could call it the in-syncness, of any system.
This quote here, it's pulled directly from one of the patent documents by the inventor, Coherence Engine, and it really captures the philosophy behind the whole thing. It sounds a little cryptic, but it suggests that when the parts of a system are aligned, they work together smoothly. And when they have what's called coherence, the entire system operates under a stable, predictable law.
So what is this coherence thing, really? The easiest way to wrap your head around it is with an analogy. Picture an orchestra where every instrument is playing a slightly different note. It's just noise, right? But then, when they all tune to the same reference point, they become coherent, and suddenly you have this beautiful, unified sound. This invention claims to be that tuning fork for everything.
And yep, this system has a name. The provisional patent applications call it the Coherence Engine. One version that gets mentioned is the Δ.72, but for now, let's just think of it as the engine designed to measure and control that universal harmony we've been talking about.
All right, so that's the big idea, but how is this engine supposed to actually work? How do you go from this cool philosophical concept to a functioning piece of technology?
So what you're looking at here is the basic blueprint from the patent filings. Now, it might look like a standard control loop you've seen before, but the magic, according to the documents, is what's happening inside each of these boxes. It's a four-part process that's designed to listen, measure, decide, and then act.
Let's break that down real quick. First up, a sensor array gathers all sorts of data, electromagnetic signals, pressure fields, you name it. Then, the coherence estimator takes all that raw, messy data and crunches it down to a single coherence value. After that, the arbitration controller looks at that value and decides what tiny little adjustment is going to bring the whole system into greater harmony. And finally, the actuators go and make that change in the real world. It's just this constant, real-time feedback loop of tuning.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. How does the engine actually measure coherence? Well, it takes these chaotic signals from the real world, and using a process called harmonic transformation, it basically deconstructs them into their pure underlying sound waves. It's by measuring how aligned these fundamental waves are that the engine can calculate the system's overall harmony.
All right, hang on to your hats, because this is where the claims made in these documents get truly breathtaking. The argument is that this isn't just for one type of system, it's for pretty much all of them. The list of potential applications is just enormous. The patents claim the Coherence Engine could optimize everything from the stability of entire national power grids and the efficiency of rocket engines, all the way to how data is routed in AI centers, and even the control loops inside quantum computers. The scope is just universal.
And it doesn't stop with machines. This is where it gets really personal. The patent filings explicitly describe using this engine for healthcare. Imagine feeding it biosignals like your heart rate and your brain waves. The system could then, theoretically, generate a diagnostic output measuring the coherence between different organ systems as a totally new marker for health. We're not just talking about checking individual vitals here. We're talking about understanding the symphony of the body itself.
And this slide right here, this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the ambition. The diagram on the left shows the engine managing a single, local system. But look over on the right, that's where you see the true goal. Multiple systems or nodes, all feeding into a single global coherence engine. The concept is designed to scale from tuning just one component to orchestrating entire worldwide networks. whether that's a global logistics fleet or a network of data centers.
So what does this all add up to? If the claims being made in these documents can hold up to scrutiny, well, the implications would be absolutely profound.
Here's the bottom line. The whole goal is to transform coherence from this abstract, fuzzy idea into a concrete, controllable engineering variable. You know, just like we can dial in temperature or pressure, the aim here is to literally control a system's harmony to get measurable gains in efficiency and stability.
Which leads us with this one final, fascinating question. For centuries, science has been searching for these deep, unifying principles. These patent filings are basically proposing that coherence might be one of those hidden variables, a fundamental property that if we can just learn to see it and control it, could unlock a whole new level of optimization in everything we build, and maybe even within ourselves. It's an idea that, at the very least, invites us to think very differently about the world all around us.